apologize to those who had tuned us in here. Hopefully, everybody will catch back up. But had to do a little technical work that required us to stop recording, and it killed the live stream. So we're back on Inside Groove, and our guest Mark Minutlo, and of course Stephen Ovens. And we should be all good now. Hopefully, the echo that everybody was hearing was is gone now. So thanks everyone for your patience.
So, Mark, let's get back into the line of questioning on the street stock. So, for those that I know Tom's got a great following, all over the nation, but there's a nice concentration, down in the Carolinas. So, explain as best you can, kind of the Northeast version of what we talk about when we're talking about street stocks.
I feel like down south is more like built off Bernheisel cars. I'm more so going by the Cruza deal because when I went down to North Carolina to watch the street stocks, it seemed like full frame cars and cars built off a Bernheisel chassis, which is like really stock pickup points. Where I feel like with the clip cars, things are definitely far from stock, But um, that's kind of where I feel the pro stocks actually are a little closer than I feel like it's painted, to us. Like aside from the crate motor and the hard tire, like they definitely have their restrictions, but as far as the build of the chassis, like I feel like they're not really that far off, and the attitude of the cars and the suspension were allowed a little more for sure, But I feel like that kind of showed yesterday. I knew we might have trouble with them when it got slicked up because they do have the crate motor. They have the hard tire, but they have the crate motor. So, the power factor, wasn't going to be as big of a deal, as it was at Canandaigua because everybody referred to the Canandaigua challenge when they had three of their guys versus three of our guys race every week. So the tables kind of turned with this deal, like they raced every week. I feel like that was two of their best guys, and Shane Playford and cousin Luke, and it showed in the feature too because Playford got out on me there, and I just kind of mirrored him a little bit, and figured out where to run, and then the lap traffic helped me a little bit too, and then it was just kind of rolling from there. But it was interesting in the heat race. We did got a little spicy in the heat races, but it was fun and they were competitive. So I feel like if they do a pro stock street stock challenge, like I again at a time when the track's nice and slicked up, like Jeremy can easily prep that track. I'm sure, like the track seems good every week. So if he could do that slick surface again, I feel like a good field of them would be pretty fun. Like us versus them kind of thing, or whatever the case is. Something to fill the night in.
Do you feel like sorry, Steve, do you feel like with the division that you're in with the crate, because I hear a lot of, from around the country, really, I hear a lot of different things about crate motors and tech and what's sealed, what's not sealed, and stock versus all of that, right? There's a lot of controversy in some ways about crate motors in some situations. What's it like for you, Mark, with that situation?
Well, I personally don't run a crate motor. But my view of it, I definitely have a view of it. Like
Okay.
I feel like guys are spending to get the good ones, and that's the problem right there is the good ones. You know what I mean? Like if they're supposed to be the same across the board, what I mean, there's clearly some guys that have a little more, and whether it be they just got a better one, like that might be the case. But the problem is there's good ones. You know what I mean? So to me, I feel like the open motor option is just as good as a crate option because by the time you guys get done dynoing it and tuning it and carb and pulleys and blah blah blah, whatever they can put on the thing to make more out of a crate motor, well, you have as much into it as an open motor, so you might as well just build an open motor. So like yeah, we struggle for car counts and stuff like that here and there, like at some places more than others, but like I feel like the crate motor wouldn't save it. You know what I mean? I don't feel like it's a motor thing. I feel like it's more like it's a little it's expensive. You know what I mean for
Yeah.
sure. But like the hobby stock class is kind of come to be that class where you can get in it and stay in it with the same car for a long time. Like I'm still running cars The one car I run at Outlaw, that thing has been running at Outlaw for 10 or so years, or more. The other car I've been running for the past 4 or 5 years. The car that I run the street stock class was owned by a guy that I race against periodically, like 5, 10 years. So that's where I feel like the class is more affordable. It's just a matter of, like, sometimes guys spend more, and if I could spend more, I would do the same damn thing. You know what I mean? I would 100% do it. But
And
but
Tom, don't let him
we're
kid
running
you. That
well with what we
car's not
got.
just running at Outlaw; it's winning races and winning championships as a 10-year-old car. So
Crazy. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
we're the thorn. I always say we're the thorn.
I just
Now,
wonder because Steve, as you know, I mean, you can talk about the crate motor, situation, and even, with the 305 sprints, like it's everything now is. It seems like motor related, tire related. These tires are bad. These tires are good. These motors are bad. These motors are good. Everybody's, and I feel like economical racing is the best racing in some cases. But what are you seeing with all of this sort of thing? I mean, we talked about, we spent a couple of hours talking about Oswego's situation with the 350s last week. What are you seeing with the crates and all of that?
yeah, I mean, I know it was, marketed as the affordable way to race, no matter what division the crate package is used in. But while I feel like it's one of those things that while it solves one problem, it creates another. It initially solved the affordability, but as time goes on, as things evolve, yeah, that question, like Mark said, is guys can pay a little more to try to get that top performing one, or getting even getting things blueprinted and there's a lot of stuff that technically is way over my head, so I don't want to sound like I'm some expert in that area, because I'm not. But
Sure.
I do think there's some application where that can be helpful. Now, Mark, on the hobby stock side, though, for years I've called it the affordable way. Is the hobby stock, is it still that? Is it dependent on what the track allows rules wise? I'm just curious if what I'm saying actually isn't necessarily the truth anymore, or is it?
No, man, it's the truth. Like, it's definitely the easiest way to go racing, because you can still find older cars. The problem is you got to have, like, the reality of, like, okay, I'm gonna buy a car for X amount, like, to get into racing. You're not racing against guys that are like, okay, I'm gonna buy a car and go race. You're racing against, and I'm not. This is gonna sound a little arrogant, but it's the truth. It's factual. You're racing against me. You're racing against Bubba. You're racing against Eldridge and Grants, and, like, you're not racing against rookie guy. You're racing against guys that've been doing this. Like, I've been doing it 20. Bubba's been racing, since Jesus had a crew car. I mean, he's been around. So he raced against my dad, and before that, you know what I mean. He's been around forever. There's guys that have been around a long time. You're not racing against rookies. You know what I mean. So, is it affordable? Absolutely, but you got to go into that knowing that reality is, like, I'm gonna have to build, but this is where I start. You know what I mean? Because, like, yeah, I got nice stuff now. Now I got good cars. Not like downplaying like that. I have good equipment, but at the same time, it's older and it's working and it's great. You know what I mean? So, do you need to go above and beyond and spend an obscene amount? No, but you can get into racing for an affordable cost and just go in with that sense of reality that, like, okay, this is where I start building. This is where I get my feet wet. Not like, oh, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna beat Mark Manula, or I'm gonna beat Bob, or whoever. I'm gonna go beat Jimmy Grant in the street stock and Mike, well, all those other guys and the Guerries and whatever. You know what I mean? You got to have the just the common sense to know that, like, you're building. You know what I mean? It's not the success isn't instant. There's guys that race forever that never even win a race. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you go in it with the right mindset. Like, at the end of the day, like, we're doing this for fun. You know what I mean? You're competitive. If you're full of crap if you're saying you're not trying to be competitive. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, you got to remember, like, you still got to go to work on Monday. You know what I mean? You got to go do this thing and live life too.
Nice to see
Yeah.
Matt Guerrero in the chat with us. And
Yeah.
definitely
Matt says seat time.
seat
So
time.
Yeah.
That's right.
No, I like that a lot. Mark, let's talk about that a little bit because last year was a year that there's a lot of guys that would have loved to have the year that you had last year, but it wasn't one of those Mr. Smooth dominant years, and we saw a different guy win the championship. But what do you take away from that season that you've brought this year, and now all of a sudden we're like, wow, Mark's back to form? Not that he was way off by any means, but it just seems like you are right back to form. What is it on these cars? Like, what is it that you've got to go to work on? And you talk about that all the time is, we're doing homework, we're making, these minute adjustments, and it certainly seems like it's helped this year.
Yeah, attention to detail, I feel like is a big thing this year. Like, kind of, I'm not gonna say go back to the basics because, like, I can like confide it in Potter with my hobby stocks. Like, just check this thing over. You know what I mean? I told him, and if it's perfectly fine, that's okay. Then I guess I suck. But I need to know what's going on with these things. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm missing something. It's just me and my father in the shop, and like, yeah, we have great runs still. You know what I mean? But there's, we're trying to do 3 cars over the course of a weekend. So it's easy. I talk about it all the time with guys I race with. Is like is the problem with that is you kind of like, okay, this one didn't really take damage or anything. So you kind of squeeze that one in and get it out quick, but you're missing something. It's like, so the attention to detail, I feel like this year is what's different is, changing springs in the street stock is all I did. And that thing was like a light switch. It's been a light switch ever since. All I did was springs. Like it's just, it baffles me really still to be running good against these guys. Cause I had talked to Jimmy about it last week. It's just, or a couple weeks ago at Canada, it was like, like I feel like I shouldn't even be there, you know what I mean? And I don't know why, but maybe it's just being a little too humble, maybe. But like I feel like I shouldn't be there in those positions, and it's just great to be there. And the hobby stock division, I feel like guys kind of expect me to be there, but that street stock division, I'm sitting here trying to sell the car last year, and I'm having the most fun of my life with the thing this year. It's just I kind of credit that to the series and the series Mike Welch got going on, the Empire Street Stock Series. We travel around just enough, you know what I mean? And it's been spaced out enough. We're supposed to go to Genesee tomorrow. The weather don't look good, but other than that, it's been spaced out enough to where you get that series race in, and then you get a break, And then I feel like Land of Legends has been a big break all year because of the damn weather, But we've been racing a lot at Outlaw and stuff like that. And I feel like with that car, same thing. I had Potter go through it, talk to Joel a little bit about ideas. He's not going to give you the book, but he got me close and just, I don't know, just trying to keep everything more precise, like the way the car runs and stuff like that, like carburation, stupid stuff that you kind of put on the back burner because hey, it's running good. Like we now this year, I feel like okay, we want it to run great, we want it to handle great, we want to be good 8 out of 10 nights. You know what I mean? Not like 50-50. Like, oh, we had a decent car. No, we want to have a good car almost every time because at Outlaw, it's like Carrick and Brighton's coming on and Balance has good nights and Jared Hill. Like, so you got to, in that Mike Stone, he's learning too. So like I want to be better than those guys. I want to go in being better than the fastest guy. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
same thing at Canada. It's like I got a million laps around the place, but there's guys also that have a million laps and that are running good. But it's like I just try to have the best car off the trailer and not chasing stuff. Like I want to change tires, like because I usually have a feature set around, so when I come in from the heat, we put the feature set on. That's all I want to do. I want the car to be that good when I unload it, and so far this year it's been that. Like I'm not a big adjustment guy. I'm not saying like, oh, I knew it was off, so I put a turn here and now I'm amazing. No, I'm not. I'm more like go out and adapt and hope for the best, So I just like to unload the best car we can. And so far this year, like I feel like uh every car has been fairly decent. You know what I mean? We got wins in all 3 cars, and I'm like super stoked about that. Like you go in, you don't know when your next one's going to be. So when you pick out a few, like I think I had ones this season than I did all of last year. So it's like the rest is just a bonus. Like we're like my grand total. I think that was win 141 of my overall career over 20 years at in the full fender classes. But that's what I race because it's in my means. You know what I mean? I can race 3 cars and be comfortable still. You know what I mean? So that's because I'm sure the question's stewing. Well, when are you going to move up? But it's not my thing. I have too much fun in what I'm doing.
Well,
I'm actually happy to hear somebody say that, Stephen, about the lower divisions. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched the video that I think it was you that put it up, Stephen, or somebody did with you in the 4-cylinder car years ago over the weekend, and it was cool to see you out there running the cushion and I love those classes. I love the street stocks. I love the front wheel drives, 4 cylinders, whatever. I think the new Crown Vic class is great, although I think it's maybe spreading a little too quickly. And I watched at Caraway last last fall. They had a pair of brothers from California that claim they're professional Crown Vic racers. They literally lapped the field, and it was just crazy. I'm like, but I think racing needs these classes, Stephen, and it's cool to see that there's still a good field of them, and that they can run both dirt and pavement in some cases, and you basically can run the same car.
Yeah, and I think you going back to that video that I shared this weekend, Tom. Like that's my background. Like I was racing those Ford Mustangs back in the day, and so when I made that transition as an announcer and as a media, media personality, doing a podcast and things like that, that was always a huge focus for us. Is highlighting, guys like Mark, guys like Bubba, guys like Danny Carrick that go and run heavy equipment at the local township during the week. But on the weekends, there's people like Amanda, like Susan, like Jennifer that are on here commenting tonight because these guys are those local heroes on the weekends. And so wanting to highlight that, and highlight the work that goes into, all the things that Mark's talking about here tonight. So no, for sure. And honestly, you go to a lot of tracks and, some of the best racing of the night. And I don't just say this to say it. I say it because I've seen it years and years and years. Like some of the best racing of the night is going to be that full fender class. And, Mark can tell you for those that, and I have seen a shift. I've seen more of a shift this year. I'm seeing the hobby stock division runs toward the end of the night at Canandaigua. After the big blocks are done, after the sportsmen are done, I've noticed a big shift this year that I've not noticed in years past, where we have more and more fans that are sticking around to watch that hobby stock race because we get anywhere from, 14 to 20 of them, and they put on an incredible show. And they put on a show all the way through the field. You're going to see guys like Bubba Burnell and Mark Manutlo and Nate Peckham and those guys, Blaine Smith, they're all going to be running up front. They contend for wins every week. Justin Eldridge is another one. But the battles through the field are incredible as well. With guys that, are competing for those mid-pack spots and guys that are still learning. So, the racing is great in that division. And, specifically, going back to Mark, going back to yesterday's race, I think that was one of the things that was such a great takeaway from that race. And part of that race, Tom, it was Ferris night. And of course, anytime it's Ferris night, everybody's got Bill Shea on their mind.
Yes.
And, to see the kind of racing that the full fender class put on yesterday, I mean, that's fitting of a race that, is, has Ferris as the night sponsor.
Yes.
And is kind of running in memory of Bill Shea. So, but Mark, to your race yesterday, I know there's some folks that are tuned in here that were watching that yesterday. But talk us through. You knew you had a good car, but early in the race, you dropped back a few spots, and you kind of had to go back to work to get yourself back up to the leader and eventually to the lead. Kind of walk us through that and how that, what that process was like for you yesterday.
Well, I mean, I would have thought to run the bottom, because in the heat race, I was shutting it down and kind of rolling the bottom, and that was great, And but then I had to roll the top around Luke there because he was shutting down the bottom. So then I rolled the top in 3 and 4. But in the feature, I'm thinking, man, this track's gonna be used up. Like I'm just gonna have to hug the bottom and do it because you know me, I love the bottom. So I went right down there like a sucker and started getting drove around, and then I restarted fourth. And when Playford fired, I fired with him. Took second, and he got away from me, but nobody was really challenging me. So I'm like, okay, this is where I need to be. I just need to figure it out, And then it was like the more and more I babied it off the corner, and I think it was starting to take rubber too. And I'm not used to that, obviously, So like it took me a second. Well, then I start floating in, and like I'm hitting it. And then you hit it, but you knew when it ended because like the car would almost feel like you're floating. Like the car would kind of start, lighten up a little bit, and you just kind of stay out of it, and then you'd catch the grip and be back in it. But the more you babied it coming off the corner, next the car's getting closer. I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. Here I'm getting a rhythm now, and just kind of started tracking them down. But in 3 and 4, I felt like I was way better in 3 and 4 because I could roll them. I started just kind of rolling momentum and babying the gas and like settling down a little bit because at first I don't care how long you've been doing it. Like if you start the pole and guys start driving around you, you get a little flustered. Like then a guy starts getting away from you a little bit. You're like, man, I gotta drive harder. Well, it's like, all right, like calm down and do what we know what we need to do here, and just started kind of rolling him, and then there he was, and he got behind this lap car, and somebody had said that it happened. I couldn't really tell the lap car's hood blew up, so he checked way up, but he was mirroring him for some reason, like he was right on his tail. So when that happened, the guy checked up, he checked way up, and I drove into, I seen daylight, and I passed him going through 3 and 4 there, and he kind of ran in my left rear a little bit. I didn't notice. I watched the tape, but he ran in my left rear a little bit. But I think that kind of spooked him, because then I was able to get away from him a little bit. And when I watched the video, it's like, okay, we got in that rhythm and we set like some crazy lap time right in the middle of the race, and it was like, okay, that makes sense now, because he, like I said, he ran away, and then we got him, and then we got a little bit of yellow flag fever at the end, but. I think it was a good mix of cars there. There was a couple hobby stock guys there. There's our street stock guys, that are following the series, and then some of the pro stocks. It was a good little mix, though, and we kept it together for the most part. It could have been a lot worse.
Okay, so Mark, we've got a very important question in the chat. Jennifer Shepard would like to know if you would go out with her.
I don't know. I'll have to check my list.
Tom, that might be the girlfriend check.
If you see me ducking and dodging like foreign objects,
that's and of course, Justin Eldridge, Daddy Smooth, Mr. Smooth is the nickname, and what I've learned today, he's earned it, and of course, Nick Guerreri taking all the credit for your success, apparently. So I want to thank all you guys for chatting and joining us tonight on The Groove. We're here every Monday night live on the SWN Facebook and YouTube, so you can join us, and we talk all kinds of racing here. And by the way, if you haven't yet, please give us a follow on the SWN Media Facebook page. So Mark, you've talked about the fact that you're not necessarily keen on moving up. You've been racing a while. How long are you going to keep doing this?
I don't know. I mean, probably forever. Right? Ideally, answer. I'd like to croak in the race car, I guess. But
that's the correct.
As long as the wallet and the body allows it,
That's the beautiful thing about racing at that level, right? Because if it's not super stressful financially, and you're able to sort of support it, then it just becomes how long that you physically and mentally want to keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing is like we're like recycling stuff and using the same stuff, so it's not like it doesn't got to be a fresh build every time, that's like you're recycling stuff for all this time, and it's not really, it's always an investment, right? You're always invested heavy, but that's like what makes it. That's why we appreciate sponsors, like guys that give you even $200. Like, you don't know, like we appreciate that just as much as the big ones. Obviously, the big ones we appreciate, immensely. But any little thing helps. And but like I said, I know I get off track here. That's just kind of my MO. But to answer your question, I guess is or to get back to what we were talking about, was the affordability of it. I can keep doing this over and over again with the same stuff if I need to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to keep upgrading or worrying about what this guy's got or that guy's got, because well, this year he got a little newer car. This year he got a little newer motor. It's like, well, what I got is what I got, and hopefully we can run with it.
So, Mark, just to give a little peek into your history in racing at Land of Legends, you're pretty far up there on the all-time win list for full fender drivers. Right now, as I show it, you are 10 shy of the all-time mark for full fenders. At what point did you feel like maybe catching Mike Welch at 90 was a reality? Did you think that was ever a reality?
Oh, probably. Yeah, probably in 07 when I started, I knew I was just going to be the man. So I just, I figured I would catch him.
There we go. There's Mr. Smooth.
No, man, I don't know. It's one of those things like, I've only been skunked 1 year there, but there's been a lot of years where I only won one race, so you don't think of it, then you put together a year where, you pluck out 5, 6 or whatever, or when you start racing 2 divisions, I get 2 shots at it a night, so that helps too. We had one night, it was just one night, but we got close on other ones, but we got to sweep the one night. So you get 2 in a weekend. It's like, well, okay, well now I can see him. Even when you're sitting at 50 and he's still at 70, 80, whatever. It's like, I don't, maybe, but then now I feel like the last few years we strung together a lot of wins, and it's like, all right, we're coming for your butt.
And
but
Tom,
sorry, I'm doing good. I'm trying to keep it together here.
Yeah.
Family show.
Yeah.
You're doing fine.
His most recent street stock win, Tom, came while carrying the Land of Legends TV onboard camera.
Nice.
And that was something that I wanted to mention because Mark had a little superstition on carrying his own onboard camera. And so it was a little bit of a tough sell to get him to carry ours, but it paid off in the end. And I got to tell you, and this is just from, the announcer's vantage point and working with the TV folks in the background, you always hope that you're going to get a great view when you put an onboard camera on a car. But when you can watch them wheel to the front, take over the race lead, go to the checkered flag, and then ride with them as he's going to victory lane. I mean, that was incredible TV a couple weeks ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I heard something about a dust up. I want to know about this.
So this has got to be the dust up yesterday at Utica, yes. Mark.
I want to know about that.
Tell us about victory lane and what everybody's had to say about it since.
Well, in the heat race there, I that's kind of Luke's house, like he's good there, so I crossed him over and I was all the way down alongside him going into turn 1. And everybody there and I and him know what he was doing. He tried shutting off turn 1 on me and I was already there, and I could see clear as day. I kept up for him. And then the problem is when you block somebody that hard, sometimes it works, but 9 out of 10 times you move up just enough. Well, with me, I'm like a professional bottom feeder. So when that happened, I ducked it in there. Again, and then we kind of touched doors, and it kind of sucked me into him. And I checked up a ton, jacked the brakes, got off him, and then when I drove around him in 3 and 4, I got a killer run right through the center of 3 and 4. I mean, you could see it again, clear as day on the video, because at that point they're watching, so he clears the end of the video. He just drives right into my quarter and tries hooking me. I'm like, so I gave him the old Woodhall howdy, out the window. I'm fired up at that point. So we came down the front stretch for the checkered, and I gave it to him again just to let him know, and we had a little we exchanged Goombas and Mingas on the front stretch, and
Yeah.
and then we carried on our day. And then we in the feature there, they warned us. It came on the radio. I see you guys are next to each other. We don't want to see any BS, pretty much, or basically you'll get parked, kind of thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And the first yellow, he comes rolling up next to me, and I look over, and because I do look around quite a bit. I just happened to look over, and he gave me a thumbs up. I was like, all right, thumbs up, whatever. Like let's not make this messy. You know what I mean? I have more to lose than him, so I was glad he didn't. So I told my dad, if he wrecks me, I'm driving my hauler right into his. So
Driving the hauler it is. Wow. Okay.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. I got a stout van.
that's funny. Arthur
was,
Roaring. I always keep one camera on Mr. Smooth.
Yeah. And yesterday you needed to, for sure. And in fact, Mark, I think Arthur probably owes you a little bit of a thank you as the video producer yesterday, because you guys definitely gave him some great content for sure. And that's a good transition on content. I gotta ask you about some of the social media work, and I won't ask you to read one of your posts, but on the show, but it's I want to know kind of what was the start of that. You for years, Tom, Mark has been the guy that will shoot a video from LOL TV and do a voiceover and just have some fun with some of the drivers in the class. But Mark, between that and your infamous post race recaps, I'm just curious when that started. How was that? Just something you started with some buddies and it kind of grew fire? Where did all that come from?
I don't know. I'm not trying to solely take credit, but the recaps were just kind of something I like. Sometimes the filter is just from here to the mouth, so I just throw it out there and whatever gets written kind of thing. And at that point it's your personal page, right? So you get to say what you want kind of thing. And it just kind of picked up from there. I just have a lot of fun doing it. It's just like my humor, you get to share your humor a little bit, and then Nick's been telling me for a while, you got to get a Facebook page, and I'm like, oh, all right, let's do it. And he gets my humor. So he does a lot of the AI and stuff. Like some people will say some stuff to me, and I look at him confused, like, oh man, okay, I got to go look at my own page. I'll see something. And man, people get the biggest kick out of that,
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I gotta throw in another.
Yeah, it's great. We got a big following, man. We're up to like almost 1,200 followers, man.
Yeah.
Team Levi Racing is in the chat, and this is why it's a family show, you see, because Team Levi Racing is 12-year-old Levi Beefstick Ballard out of Grimes, Iowa, who is one of the top junior micro sprint racers in the country right now. He is closing in on 10 wins for the season, just picked up another one this past weekend. And I asked him at one point, how'd you get the name Beefstick? He said, I eat about 3 of them a night. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, that's at 11 or 12 years old, 3 beef sticks a night is pretty hefty. But he is a really, really stout young racer. And so happy to have him in the chat, and look forward to at some point we'll get him on one of these Inside Groove shows on a Monday night and let him say hi to everybody. But appreciate him and his folks as well, one of the SWN family of drivers. So you are watching, if you've just joined us, Inside Groove Live. This is our SWN Media Short Track Show. It's live every Monday night at 9 here on the SWN Facebook and SWN YouTube pages. And of course, I'm Tom Baker, the host. Stephen Ovens is the voice of Land of Legends Racing up in Canandaigua, New York, one of the coolest dirt tracks in the Northeast. And Mark Manutlo is the most recent street stock winner, but a multi-division racer up at Utica Rome Speedway in New York, and also at Dundee, Outlaw Speedway in Dundee, and has raced Land of Legends as well. So kind of theming around dirt track racing tonight. And so I want to keep on the content thing because I got to look after Stephen prepped me. I got to look at some of your content, and all I can think of is we've got basically a Northeast Cletus is what I thought about, and pretty funny stuff for sure. Some of the imitations that you do are really classic. And again, it is your page, so yes, you can be uncensored and say whatever you want. But here we got to keep it family oriented. But you certainly
Absolutely.
I love seeing that, Mark, because we need more drivers to do that sort of thing. We don't get enough post-race content. We don't get enough during the week content out of drivers. And I think that's part and parcel of having sponsors and fans is, you got to entertain them, not just on Saturday in the race car. You got to entertain them outside the car during the week too, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I sound like a broken record when I say this stuff, but I always tell everybody, like, don't take your job too serious kind of thing. Like, we ain't doing this for a living. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's all fun for me. And it's something I've done, obviously for 20 years. Like, so it keeps it a little exciting for me. It gives me a little engagement. You see people that you don't know, your friends on Facebook, they might like your stuff, but you see them and, they'll talk to you like they're your best friend. And I welcome it. I welcome it, but it's like, man, I don't know who that guy was.
Well, and Mark, you've definitely utilized it, and I don't know if building a fan base was necessarily the first goal, but I mean, I can say from being at an event that you raced at with the Empire Street Stock Series, a week ago or a week and a half ago, I saw fans. Now, if you go to any Northeast dirt track where there's a modified show going on, you're going to see Justin Hare's t-shirts. You're going to see Alex Payne, Matt Shepard, Matt Williamson t-shirts. I went to this race the other night, Tom, and of course it's it's one of Mark's home tracks, but
sure,
I saw fans with Mark Manutlo t-shirts on, and every
That's
time
awesome.
he came by, they're doing one of these, pushing him forward. And Mark may know them, he may not know them, but all of this stuff together, the good racing on the track, the fun that he has with the content, it's building a fan base, and it's not just building the fan base for Mark himself. He's really doing some of that work that impacts the racetracks too, a great deal, because these folks get invested and they want to come out and see these guys race. And again, like Mark said, I'm sure, like, we just had autograph night a couple weeks ago, and I can't imagine the number of people that have walked up to Mark that he's probably never met before and said, "Man, I'm a big fan. We watch you at Outlaw. We watch you at Canandaigua on the Empire Series." It's a great thing, and we talk about all the time. How do we keep racing moving forward? How do we keep all these? I'm going to say little dirt tracks, but there's some. Not every place is is a little dirt track, but how do we keep all this going? And this is, I think he's really found a way to do that. And I say that from the announcer standpoint, because
Sure.
it gives me something to try to help add to that entertainment value that fans get on a weekly basis. So,
well, and I think that's it. It's got to be a team effort, right? It's got to be that back and forth. You got to have a driver that's willing to participate and willing to put himself out there and have fun with it. And as Mark said, not take himself too seriously, especially at the level that he's competing at. It is about fun, and it's about, I think, connecting with fans, and that's what you got to do. And you can't You can't do that from inside the car. I mean, sure, if you win, they cheer you, but if they don't know you, they want, that's sort of what makes the emotional connection is you want the fans to get to know you. I always like seeing drivers during intermission at racetracks go up in the stands with autograph cards and shirts or whatever and pass them out, sign autographs and get to meet people. I love seeing that because that's the actual connection. We don't see as much of the post race, like go to the pits after the races as we used to. And I hate that, Stephen, because growing up, that's how, I mean, somewhere around here, I've got one of the programs from Oswego Speedway from back like 1975. And you got autographs on those programs man, we've just lost some of that, I think. So I like the intermission stuff and the meet and greets and, stuff on the front stretch. So yeah, man, I think it's cool what you're doing for a driver in a lower division. And I don't mean that in any way as a derogatory phrase. One of the lower divisions, I think you're doing an amazing job, and it's so much fun to keep up with drivers like you that are out there for the fun of it, having a good time. And oh, by the way, if we win, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's all, like I said, it's all a bonus. You know what I mean? Anytime you have a good run, it's a bonus to be able to go do something on the weekend like that, and sometimes you beg for a weekend off, and this year is not the case with all the weather. It's been a little rough, but yes, it's a lot of fun. And sometimes I know I was listening to your show before this one. They were talking about sometimes with the struggle and the car counts, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's the nice part about our division I give us a lot of credit for was when we're down on cars, we pluck off the feature pretty quick. Like a lot of times it'll go green to checkered, and also with that, like I don't show up on a Saturday like, oh, there's only 6 guys here. Like it's gonna be, it's gonna be cake because you got Jimmy, CJ, Krigo, Welch, then there's other guys that show up here and there's those are like I'd put a lot of our guys against any field, so it's like, it's good quality drivers too, and hopefully we can get back to form and at least get 12. The way I see it now is if the modifieds are barely breaking 20, if a full fender division can get 12 or more, well then we're doing okay. You know what I mean? Because the premier classes are barely breaking, and the sportsman's kind of like can't really judge by that because there's a lot of them out there, and that's good for them. I'm not saying taking anything away from them, but they're always going to be, I feel like, the highest car count. But if we can try to keep the pace with some of the upper classes, if you will, then I feel like we're having a decent night, And the hobbies have been great. Like even the numbers at Outlaw, we've been like 12 to 13 ish. Slover's one, so you got to kind of count 12, 13 lightly. But at we get about 20 almost every week. 16 to 20. That's hell of a numbers, for that division,
For sure. Stephen, talk about talk about Land of Legends and the live stream aspect, because I feel like that formula that you've got and the way that you do it plays into some of the new fans that drivers like Mark pick up, because they're watching from all over the country and the world, and they see these guys putting on a show. And nowadays with the internet, we can connect to anybody anywhere, right? And so talk a little bit about that relationship and how the live stream kind of plays into the sponsorships and the connections for your drivers.
Yeah, I think the viewership that comes with the streaming, at least gives the opportunity to try to build up, the sponsor program to help keep the race team going. But the fan side is something I've seen it on Facebook. I've seen it on X. I've seen fans who, when I as an announcer say, hey, let us know where you're watching from, tag us on X, or and I get people that are watching from West Virginia that said, we've become a Mark Manutlo fan watching your stream every week. I've never met Mark. I don't know where Newark, New York is, but I've watched him on the stream, and he's got a pretty sporty ride, and we tune in and watch every week. People that are tuning in and watching from campsites, or even our sponsors with the local brewery tap room that, have got, 15, 20 people in the tap room watching on a Saturday night. It's built that program where it gives opportunities to build the fan base. It gives the opportunity to take those numbers and try to get, some marketing help to, again, put into the race car, put into the race team. And it's been a very successful, it's been a very successful program, and Paul nails it on the head there.
Yes.
Running a
Paul.
racetrack is all about entertainment. And
your boss.
Yeah.
We should tell for the audience is watching.
Yeah,
Paul
that's
is the
right.
promoter,
But that's been Paul's vision from the get-go is, how do we build racing? I know he's told you, Tom, about the three-legged stool before.
Yes.
Of drivers, race teams, fans, and sponsors. And without any one of those three legs of the stool, it falls over. And that's what the live stream is really built on, is support from the marketing partners to keep the wheels turning at the track. But it's also something that the drivers can really utilize. And Matt in the comments here brings up another great point. And I've worked at other facilities where I've tried to push streaming solely from the fact that you have race teams who have families that live towns away or states away, or in Peter Britton's case, live across the pond, across the pond, so it gives them an opportunity to follow along and stay in tune with what's going on. And the other part of that too is for those diehard fans, those, if they can't make it to the track on a Saturday night because they got to go to the grad party or they got to go to a wedding, we get pictures all the time of people that are still watching on their phones.
I was going to say,
it gives them a way to stay locked in.
Yeah.
And I took a night off in June and went to, oddly enough, a concert in Canandaigua. And while I was there, I passed by a couple of race fans that were watching on a giant, it must have been like a Microsoft Surface type thing. But I stopped and I was watching the races with them while I was going to get a drink. Like, fans are just, even when they're somewhere else, the stream gives them a way to stay locked in.
Did they know you were you?
What's that?
Did they know that you were you? Did they recognize you?
They caught on pretty quick.
That's pretty funny.
So yeah,
I should read this whole comment from Matt just for those, because it didn't all make the screen. Matt says, not just people that don't live close to the track. My grandparents are in their 80s. They can't make it in person anymore, but they can still watch us every week on TV. My sponsor that owns a local bar has it on the big screen every week. It helps everyone all around. And I think this is the thing that a lot of track owners, promoters, they miss, because Paul was our very first guest on the Tom Baker TV show, which is still re-airing, by the way. It's still in re-air across the PowerTube TV network, even 2 years after we did it. But I've never forgotten that three-legged stool. And the whole concept of having a bar that's inside of Canandaigua that's playing the live video. And you'd think, well, this is counterproductive. They're not paying to go to the track. Well, yes, but the bar is sponsoring the track. So like Paul said, this is my advertising. It's genius. He's literally showing you this is what we do every week, and not in 15-second form.
Yeah. Mark, I'm curious your take on, I mean, I can talk streaming all day, but I'm just curious, your take on that, whether it's, fans or friends or family that are watching, or, any of that. I'm curious your take from the driver's standpoint.
I definitely feel like all the points, that were made, just the fact that somebody can watch it that can't make it, that truly can't make it. That's like, it's perfect for that, this is probably gonna be an unfavorable opinion. I feel like streaming is great, and but I feel like people would pay even a small $20 for the year, and think of how many people would do that, and then it could go, towards a point fund or you know what I mean, like to give back to the guys that are putting on the show too. You know what I mean? I just feel like that could be a thing too. You know what I mean? And we're always griping about money, even though that's not why we're doing it, but things are expensive. I just feel like that'd be a way to give back to the racer, but it's also I get it. It is like the viewership and the people and the fans, and it does in turn it does help you. You know what I mean? I haven't banked some $10,000 sponsor from it, but I'm not saying it's not possible. You know what I mean? So it is a great way to market the local businesses and your sponsors and stuff. Like there is definitely a lot of positives to it. I have my concepts too, though. And I feel like there is little tedious things that could be done to give back to the guys providing the show too. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to sound ungrateful. That's not my point here. You know what I mean? I'm just voicing how I feel with that. I don't want to seem ungrateful for the exposure, because at Outlaw we don't get no exposure. You know what I mean? So I appreciate the exposure as well.
Well, and that's, I think, the larger point that I was trying to make for those in the chat who weren't aware is that, you see all these tracks that are on Flow or some other big streaming source, and, Land of Legends does their own stream and they give it away. It's free. Every Saturday night you can watch, for free on their platforms. And, it sort of flies in the face of, well, why would we give it away? And shouldn't that hurt attendance? Nope. Attendance is up year over year. And the advantage of free is that you get those 10,000 viewers, unique viewers. And that's, correct me, is that figure still accurate, Steve? About 10,000 viewers?
It's slightly less than that now, and we're starting to kind of track our own numbers.
Okay.
Well, when we've reached that 10,000, that's been a combined viewership between Land of Legends and the simulcast with Dirt Vision.
Okay.
But sometimes that does become a challenge of really kind of pinpointing. You can give an estimate, so we're kind of focusing on what we're achieving on our own platform at this point, but it's not far away from that figure. It may not be 10,000 weekly to an exact number, but
sure.
We are tracking things like number of devices, and I know
yes.
Art really looks at minutes watched too,
yes.
to understand that. So there's and again, this is way above my pay grade as the announcer with the microphone in his hand, but there are a lot of those analytics that can be used, and one of the things that I think even to Mark's point about at least having the ability, we share those numbers with anybody that wants them. We publish those on the website.
Sure.
Or if a driver reaches out to us and says, I'm looking to go approach this sponsor, what is the information that you can provide me that will be helpful, that will translate when I'm talking to that marketing person? So, so that's something that's out there. And I say to everybody every year, hey, we have this resource that we're willing to share to help, the team if they utilize it. So, but I think, I think that's been a lot of fun. And Tom, something that's a little different this year, I don't think that we've talked about yet, is we're also using that streaming platform to start producing new talent as well. That's one thing.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's one thing that we've not traditionally done as well, is trying to cultivate some new talent. So we've got a young guy that just graduated from the broadcasting school at Syracuse. We've got a former racer who's now our Victory Lane guy, who we're like, he knows racing. He's been in many Victory Lanes. Let's put him in this. He knows what those drivers are going through. So let's work him into there. And and we've also got another young guy that is also working with Dave Buchanan at the Race of Champions Modified
Okay.
Series. He's coming and working with us part-time as well, and it's really been a great thing to try to, bring up folks that want to get into this, because Tom, as well as I do, there's, when I got started 11 years ago, it was, you had to wait for a spot to open. You
Yeah.
had to wait for somebody to leave, wait for somebody to get fired, or somebody that went to be with the Lord in heaven. And now 11 years later, it's not that way.
Well,
There's a lot of tracks that you see a month or 2 months before the season starts, and they're scrambling looking for an announcer or broadcaster. So
absolutely.
we're, while it's
And
great for
amazing.
the track and the drivers, we're trying to utilize it to cultivate some new talent. And Mark's done, he stepped into the booth several times before. So
That's awesome. Well, see, that's what we need. And of course, for those in the chat, I will always consider myself really blessed to have been able to be the one that gave Steve his first writing start, and even probably radio too, I guess.
Yeah.
And with our Race Chaser brand back in the day, that we evolved now into what you see as SWM Media, and what Steven and his brother Brad did with that opportunity was just amazing, and it still continues to this day. Really, really super proud of Steven, and that's what you want. You need to be able to get, because it's getting harder and harder to get young people interested in racing these days. And so to be able to have spots like that and say, hey, there is a way to do this. And then of course, it's never been easier, as Mark can attest to, because he's doing it. It's never been easier to be your own media, really. Now it's hard to build traction, but it's never been easier to be your own media. We all have that with our own social channels. So bravo on that, Steven. I love seeing that. And I did see that you were starting to do that. And I think it's amazing. I think it's awesome, and more traction to it.
And Mark, you do the same thing with teaching, younger folks how to work on these things, how to support a race team. That's one of the cool things I've seen out of you guys the last couple of years, is the young folks that are getting involved and putting the blood, sweat, and tears alongside you to get those 3 cars to the track every week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, not to discredit anything, like a lot of the in-shop stuff during the week, me and my dad do, but them guys that show up every week to the track on a Saturday when they could be doing a lot of other things is definitely Friday or Saturday or anytime, is I'm very grateful for that. And we got we always joke around when my young guys can't make it. We got Rodney and my father and Bob, and that's my team AARP pit crew, and we get it done with those guys too. It's a lot of fun with them.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's been that's a fun corner of the pit area, to stop and chat with as an announcer every week. And Bambi says it well here. Her son Justin that races with Mark. I mean, Mark what is it that you called Justin? The protege? Is that what he's called?
The prodigy.
The prodigy.
The prodigy.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
he got
Mark,
his number. He got his number basically from me, and he's like, watch me. He's always right there growing up, and then it's fun banging doors with him now. You know what I mean? It's like not like you never envision it, but when it all comes to life, and as you get old, you're like, damn, man, where'd time go? It definitely puts it in perspective.
Yep,
yeah,
for sure. And the impact that you can have is really the best part of it. I don't want to let you go without giving you a chance to, whether it's sponsors or crew or whoever you want to thank. Mark, take as long as you need to, and let's give some shout outs where they belong.
Oh man, I wish I could swipe up to my list that I post every Saturday, because I always forget somebody. But let me see if I can without closing this thing. Are you guys still with me?
Oh yes, he's still here. Hang
Okay.
on,
All right.
folks.
Perfect. Because I'm cheating.
Cheating is allowed. That's the way it should be. You should always have a list in front of you. If you're gonna do a show,
Yeah,
any
so I'm gonna go right down the list here. I'm just gonna thank all my sponsors. So Honey Auto Parts, my father, Big Mike's Auto Repair and Sales, Real Estate by Jen, my girlfriend. Traditional Automotive Group's been on forever. Seneca Meadows jumped on this year. NG Promotions, obviously doing like big things for me as far as social media. Image always keeps my scrap looking good. Joel with Close Racing, Rod Comfort, Giro's Rears and Gears, Paint Drop Body Shop, the Pavosky family, Lane's Yamaha, Sunset Bowl, BAP Engines, Morocco Machining, Potter Chassis, Canangle Window Cleaning. My mom helps me out too. Joe Wilcox Performance. I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but it's a big, like I always say, it's a big effort, man. Just everybody that stands behind you and everything every week. It's a big deal, you know.
Well, there's a bit of a tribute. Justin got his number from you, Mark. So, like I said, impact, and that's the cool thing is you never know who's paying attention. So you always want to be a good example and all of that because again, and the other thing I find, Stephen, and you can attest to this too, it only takes one person sitting in the grandstand that's maybe just looking for a race car to put their name on. And it really does happen, or a driver to help support when they need them, and I go back to my days at Chemung Speedrome in 2002 when I was managing that track. We had a driver in the modified division named Josh Philpott. Josh, there were about three drivers there: Josh, Chris Clark, and the late Tony Hanbury, and there was another one. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but had all three of them in the stands. Again, like I was talking about during intermission, and the announcer, who happened to be the same guy as the general manager, always picked up on that and talked about him, and people were interacting with him. Well, Josh blew a motor at one point in the modified, and basically was probably going to be done for the year. And the gentleman stepped out of the stands and bought him a new one. And that is a true story. And so, again, you never know who's watching. So, these are the lessons that come out of it, especially when you're as personable as Mark. You get fans to begin with, and then, you never know where that leads you. So, that's why I love seeing what you're doing with the content, because that's what really makes it, is what happens in between the race days.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, Mark, we want to thank you for being on tonight. And for those who came on because of Mark, thank you for joining us. Hope you will again. We're on each Monday right here, 9:00 Eastern time on the SWM Media Facebook. Give us a follow if you would. And also steeringwheelnation.com is our website. And by the way, before I'm on here, I'm actually on PowerTube TV at 8:00 on Monday nights. That's our national show, but we throw short track. In fact, tonight was almost all short track. But we did talk about some IndyCar stuff on there, but it's on PowerTube TV. Just go to watch powertubetv.com, or if you got Roku or Amazon, Apple, Samsung, we're on all the Samsung TVs now, Vizio TVs. PowerTube TV is the network, and we're on their podcast channel Mondays from 8 to basically 8:45. It's a 44-minute show. So got about 4 million views on that show last year. So love being able to promote short tracks as much as we can on that. So keep that in mind. On Monday nights, basically, it's a 2-hour block. We do the Tom Baker show from 8 to 9 pretty much. And then just jump over here and go live with Inside Groove with the short track show. So we hope that you'll all stay with us. And Mark, thanks again, man. Really appreciate having you. And we'll get you back on again at some point too. And appreciate you being on tonight. Good luck the rest of the season, and keep the content coming.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So that's Mark Manutlo. And Stephen, I want to give you a chance to tell us a little bit more, anything else we need to know about what's going on at Land of Legends here. And then I want to talk real quick while we got a few minutes left about some sprint car stuff, because I know you follow that as closely as I do. So talk a little bit about, for those who aren't familiar with Land of Legends, I know you talked about some stuff at the top, but audiences come and go. Talk a little bit about what what's hot and what's going on there. What do we need to know? Where can people find your free stream and all of that?
Yeah. So the track website is landoflegendsraceway.com. And we actually have a free app as well that you can download from the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS store. And the website now completely reflects the app. So any content
Nice.
you can access there is accessed both ways. And then our stream is landoflegendstv.com, where you can sign up for a free account and see all of the action every Saturday night there. We also simulcast on Dirt Vision. So if you're, a subscriber of Dirt Vision, you can actually catch us there as well. But in terms of what we have right now, the rain out from this past weekend was a little unfortunate, in that it'll be a couple Saturdays before we get back there. This coming week is the Ontario County Fair. We are a racetrack that's located on a county fairgrounds.
Yeah.
So they kind of take over this week. So this coming Saturday, we won't have an event, but we'll be back on August 1st. We do have an event during the fair. It's actually a Dirt Car Sportsman Series race. It's coming up on Wednesday night. So we do have that, along with our New Legends Sportsman, which is like a novice or a rookie sportsman class.
Okay.
So we have those two classes, but the only way to see that will be in person at the fair on Wednesday. But I can't wait for August 1st. Tom, with my 4-year-old son, the Power Wheels night is one of the highlights of his year at the racetrack. And we have that coming up on August 1st. We can't wait for that. So we have that big event coming. We just got done with our autograph session a couple weeks ago. Summer Fast with the Super Dirt Car Series will be there Tuesday, August 18th. And then we wrap up. I wanted to make sure I wore my Gerald Hares Memorial t-shirt.
I saw that.
Which was 2 years ago, the short track event of the year.
Wow.
By Racing Promotion Monthly. So we were pretty excited about that. The Hares family got, very much due credit, along with the track, on getting a short track event of the year. And the 8th annual Gerald Hares Memorial will be September 18th and 19th. And you can see that on Land of Legends TV and Dirt Vision as well. That event is coming off of a huge amount of momentum. After 7 tries, Justin Hares, finally won his dad's memorial race last September. So he'll be looking to repeat that. It's one of our best modified fields of the year. And it's also a traditional 100-lap event. You don't see those as much anymore.
Not enough,
but we've stuck with the traditional 100-lap format, 10,000 to win. So it's one that drivers, all over the Northeast really circle, not just from a great paying event before some of the big events like Super Dirt Week come up, but also, honoring a great man and a great family in Gerald Hares. So
for sure. No, that's a great event, and happy to see that you've stuck with that 100-lap format. Just don't see that enough anymore.
Yeah.
So I've got the landoflegendstv.com link is in our chat for those of you who are watching, and I put if you were here earlier, Levi Ballard, little 11-year-old Beef Stick is his nickname, and just a really neat little kid, and quite a racer for his age. TeamLeviRacing.com is his website, and I would appreciate it if all of you went to the Facebook page, which is again, just look for Levi Ballard Team Levi Racing, and you'll find it on Facebook. And give him a follow and subscribe to his website as well. You'll get all of the latest news about Levi. He is certainly a rising star, and it's so cool to see the younger racers coming up through. And he's just one of many, obviously, but he's just a super young kid. Okay, I want to switch to sprint cars for a minute, because I know. Go ahead.
Before you do that, Tom, I just want to say,
please,
if Levi comes out with a t-shirt, that has beef stick on it, I will be the first customer.
Okay, so if they're not, I don't know if they're still in the chat or not, but if they're
Yeah.
not, I'll pass that along because I actually agree with that. I think beef stick merchandise would be great because I think that's what
You
it's
gotta
one of
lean
those.
into it. But
Yeah,
sorry,
so
go ahead with the sprint
no,
car.
you did it actually, and that's the same with my driver that's based here. One of our guys, Carter Beatty, Catfish,
Oh,
and he's got a line of merch with a catfish on it, and that's been his nickname since he started because he was a bottom feeder. He wouldn't run the wall, and so yeah, I mean, just again another example of a young guy headed hopefully for 410s here. That's already the Millbridge. He's got the most wins at Millbridge of any driver in the history of the track, and he's 14. So pretty amazing.
wow.
But okay, so sprint cars. I want you and I kind of raised an eyebrow the other night. I just want to have some conversation with you about this because I mean it just seems crazy to me. But we had at Eldora, the King's Royal, we had a fuel stop, a refuel stop with 2 laps left in a 40 lap feature. We'd gone 50 some odd laps, and they said in the drivers' meeting that 55 laps, after 55 total laps, green and caution, we would stop for fuel. You're a little more in tune with some of the dirt stuff in some ways still than I am. And you're also, as somebody who's owned cars, why can we not put enough fuel in a sprint car to last more than 55 total laps?
Yeah, I was a little puzzled with this one myself. If you had asked me when the weekend started of what race we would be talking about a fuel mileage race, the King's Royal wouldn't have
Would
been
not be on the
the
bingo
race
card.
that we listed. um, I actually I made a post on social, and I had a lot of people that are smarter than me
Yeah.
that commented and gave some feedback on it, and so I get it. They announced that 55 laps, ahead of time at the drivers meeting. I'm not sure of though is, you're factoring in the pace laps. You've
Yep.
got a 4 wide.
Yep.
And like I said, 2 quick cautions and all of that very easily got you to 55. And
Sure.
it just, to me, and I get the laps, and once somebody runs out, then they realize they've got an issue. But I just looked at it from the perspective of I wanted to see that race play out,
Right.
as it was. And because, to me, once everybody fuels up, then we're all back. And
It's a
for a
different
green white
race.
checkered,
Yeah.
we're not really gonna see, that to me, I was also picking up from guys like Rico that, in his interview, it's like, yeah, once the fuel stop happened, like what am I gonna do? What are his options there? So
Yep.
and again, you know me, Tom, I don't like to raise a problem without a good solution, but on this one over the weekend, no, I don't really know what the solution is there, but I know that I didn't really like that, but I
Well,
I
it just
do
felt awkward to me.
it did.
It
Yeah.
felt very awkward. All of a sudden, 2 laps.
Yeah.
And look, to me, th- how much fuel you put in your race car to start a race, that's on you. Like,
Mhm.
can we not put a bigger tank, a little bigger tank in these cars? Like, I don't really understand why we can only go 55 total laps, and in a 40 lap race. To me as a fan, I don't want to see that race get stopped with 2 laps to go. And I know somebody's going to say, well, would you rather see 5 guys run out of fuel? Yeah, actually, I would, because to me, that's part of the whole strategy of the way a race plays out. I mean, at some point, like if you can't do better than that, like, can we not put a little bigger tank in these cars? I just was really thrown for a loop because it changed the whole race. you can say, well, the same guy still won that probably would have won regardless, but we don't know that. Um, and it just eliminated that possibility. And I think as a fan, you want to see a race play out. I hate refueling stops in any race. And I hate fuel mileage racing. I like it to the extent that you allow somebody to gamble. I'm going to not fill the tank because I want to get out of the pits faster, right? That's what we see in Cup all the time. And that to me is part of strategy. So it felt very awkward, and it almost felt like somebody hit the e-brake on my excitement because I was waiting for the ending. And then all of a sudden it's like, what do you mean we're having a red flag for fuel? Like,
Yeah.
So
I do think there's an opportunity from a content perspective to, especially for fans that are, let's say, more of the casual fan.
Yeah.
Because I saw a lot of people that were talking about, well, some guys run the bigger tanks and some don't. And some of that back and forth. And I'm just thinking from I'm always thinking about the casual fan.
Yeah.
Do they even understand what we're talking about? So I don't know. I didn't love it. I don't know that I have, I don't know if I have the solution, but I didn't really,
yeah, it was just interesting.
It was like you let the air out of the balloon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just all of a sudden it was just this huge letdown, right? Because again, it takes one less potential thing out of the race, and unpredictability. That word has been thrown around a lot about NASCAR and how fans want unpredictability, and it's true. That's why we watch a race. We watch to see if a motor blows. We don't watch it because we want that to happen. It's who's going to finish, who's going to be fast all the way through, who's playing this strategy, that strategy. And so to me, when you stop that close to the end to put fuel in the cars, you just completely kill the moment, and then you restart, and by the time we go, oh, it's back to green, it's over. There's no time to get psyched back up and get into it again. So yeah, it was interesting. I'm not bad mouthing the Outlaws. I'm just saying that was an awkward, and I'm wondering why we can't put it. I mean, if you're saying there is an opportunity, and I didn't realize that. I figured everybody's running the same size tank. Are you telling me some guys do run bigger tanks than others? Because if that's the case, I'd be putting more fuel. And I know we're trying to save weight. That's why we don't paint cars, right? But come on, really? I mean,
yeah, no, that was some of the conversation, and
interesting stuff.
It definitely gave me something more to dig into as we get closer to Knoxville.
Yeah.
And I know they have a planned halfway break, but even with the planned halfway break, I mean, that's a big track.
Yeah.
So could this happen again? Who knows? So it's given me something to look at a little deeper before we get to the big one.
Yeah, it's not was interesting. I think the Outlaws and the High Limit both this year have been fantastic. The racing's great. We've had a lot of different winners. Really points funds still very much, or points raise still very much in jeopardy. And for both series, I mean, we can't say anybody's just ran away and hid, which is awesome. I love seeing the national sprint car deal like that. You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
Gone are the days of us talking about Uncle Don Don having it wrapped up by Knoxville.
Well, Uncle Don Don is still in the race, though. He's got a fast horse and he's still in the race. Yeah. And I keep just in my head, I've seen this so many times. It's like at some point I feel like Uncle Don Don's going to get on a run, and we're going to be hearing Shotzi wins, but it's great to see him still be able to run up front. And, like I say, it's been the Outlaws have been the gravel show, but I keep saying to people, yeah, David wins the championship, but you watch these races and like we're seeing Anthony Macri right now on a heater. You've got these Buddy Kofoid's been on a heater earlier in the year, right? Like it throughout the year, it's a long series, and the guy that wins the championship isn't always a guy that wins 30 races. It's just, it's consistency in that series that wins the title a lot, I feel like. And it's been crazy to watch. And I think that High Limit's basically been kind of the same thing this year.
No, agreed. To my boss's point earlier, the entertainment value has been very high.
Yes.
No matter, whether if you pick sides on what you're a fan of, the entertainment value has been great on both ends as far as I'm concerned.
For sure. Well, really excited to have you back, Steve, as always. And it's been fun. It was great to have Mark with us, and thanks to everyone who jumped into chat and tuned in to watch tonight again. Next Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Start at 8 and watch the Tom Baker Show on PowerTube TV. And then come in here at 9 and join us for the live short track show. Who knows who we'll have on next week, but I'm sure it will be fun, because that's the whole point of this show after all. And of course, steeringwheelnation.com is our hub, at the SWM Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And if you want, if you're on X, you want to talk to me, at the SWN Tom is my handle over there, and at Tom Baker TV on the gram. And so there you have it. And Stephen, landoflegends.tv.com, where can fans check in with you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just Stephen Ovens on Facebook, and at Stephen Ovens on X. And you can find me at RaceVoice88 on Instagram. I will admit, my feed from Facebook goes right over to Instagram. I'm still,
we're starting to do that more too.
I'm still getting acquainted with Instagram. So
every time, I mean, the algorithm in those platforms changes every week. Twitter, X just had a brand new, they just had a new algorithm shift just here recently, like in the last month. And it's a mess. LinkedIn, same thing. LinkedIn did it. Business Social, LinkedIn did an algorithm thing in May. And again, it's just a mess. It's just weird how they keep messing around. So just when you think you know what you're doing, they change something. But Facebook's actually got it, so it's pretty good right now. And by the way, just Steve, for a thought on the analytics side. So one of the things we found with SWN just here in the last couple months is, we're getting about 95% of our traffic from non-followers, which is a huge stat, because that means that our content is getting out into discovery, and we're not just talking to the same old people all the time. We're bringing new people in. So something maybe just to look at on your end, to see where all that is as you're starting to look at some of those different analytic points, because that's audience acquisition, and that's big time. And man, it's just blown our minds how people are reacting to what we're doing. And I love seeing it. I'm thankful for it. I hope it keeps up, because we've worked awfully hard to get to that point.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate having me in tonight to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely do it again soon. No question.
Absolutely. And thanks again. Thanks to everyone who joined us. And we'll talk to you next week on the Inside Groove Short Track Show, live 9 p.m. Eastern next Monday night. Have a safe week, everybody, and enjoy the races. So long.